As you may know, Massachusetts, its population is not growing as much as other states. How do you plan to help Massachusetts raised and educated students stay here when buying a home seems nearly impossible?
We have a competitive advantage in that we have the best higher education system of all the states in the country. UMass Lowell is a great example of that. But the problem is, because our housing prices are so high, because our cost of living is so high, people come here and then they leave. I want you all to stay. All this dynamic energy. So here's what I would do. I would push for a home price insurance program. This is an idea from Barry Bluestone, where you could guarantee people that if they go into the market and buy now, they won't lose the value of their home if the market goes down. We also have to deal with the home foreclosure crisis. We should allow people to go into bankruptcy courts. We should push Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to let people refinance, because interest rates have come way down, and I've talked to too many people who had their mortgages at 9–10%, and now the average is 4%, 4.5%. They can't refinance. We also have to make sure that we have the environment for startup businesses, so that you want to come and either start a company yourself or become part of a company. So those are the things I would push. Most of all, I'll tell you, please stay. We need you.
I think having a balanced community and having prosperity for a family or any community rests on a foundation that has 4 walls: a good home, a good school, a good doctor, and a good job. And I think that's what people, if they're here, they need, and if they are thinking about staying, they want to see will be here for their families in the future. We have seen all those things under attack. We've actually seen Scott Brown vote against each one of those principles, that we should have a good home, a good school, a good doctor, and a good job. And I want to particularly support the idea that we should have multiple forms of housing. My wife and I actually live in a home where we have rented our top floor. That enabled us to begin home ownership at a point when we otherwise could not have afforded it. There are lots of creative models out there. And the other thing is, I want to agree with Alan that entrepreneurship, this is a wonderful state for entrepreneurship. I was just at Mass Challenge, where they have 125 small entrepreneurial companies coming forward. That's a model that we should be duplicating not only across the state, but across the country, to draw your ideas, which will be the backbone of the future.
We've got a particular crisis with keeping doctors here. After they get trained at some of our great medical schools, they find housing unaffordable. Well, we put in place in the state budget a $10 million loan and debt forgiveness program to keep those doctors here, so that we could have a great health care program and more primary care physicians in Massachusetts. Number 2, more affordable housing. I've been supporting that for the past 5 years at the State House. We've got some great proposals out there and funding, but not enough. And so there's not enough affordable housing stock out there for young people. Third, we need to get support for the discretionary parts of the federal budget, particularly the housing budget, the federal home loan program, so that we can get more of that money here in Massachusetts to lower the housing costs for those recent graduates. The Republicans keep on trying to attack and cut those federal loan programs, but we need to preserve them. That's one of the reasons I want to be your next United States Senator.
On the housing, I agree with the proposals presented, but at some point, as we are, I hope we're at the bottom, because people have lost 20% or more in the value of their houses. So at some point, you can't manipulate a housing market. So what are you left with? What other tools are there? Jobs. And so one of my first, and what comes with jobs, are good union jobs. And so one of my first acts as a U.S. Senator would be to support and advocate like heck for the Employee Free Choice Act, because although Massachusetts has one of the highest unionization rates, about 15 to 17% in the state, it's still not enough for people to have good incomes and sustained jobs and good benefits, and to be able to afford housing, rent, or buy. And so we should advocate for more union jobs, good jobs that are steady, infrastructure jobs, construction, biotechnology, through all the private sector and the public sector. And that will keep students here, because they will get those good jobs and they will be able to afford housing.